Welcome to the Happy, Healthy Hustle podcast, where we explore the intersection of health, happiness, and productivity. I'm your host, Christiana, and I'm super excited to be here with you today. In this podcast today, we actually have a special guest. So today we have Kelly on this podcast. And what I'm really thrilled about is she's going to share something really new with us. And of course, before I introduce Kelly, we go through our little tradition. I'm going to share with you the podcast fan of the week. All right, so the podcast fan of the week is by JSCHRO04. And the title of the podcast review is Great Show, Amazing Interviews and Relevant Topics. I can't wait until the next episode. Thank you so much for giving this wonderful review. I truly appreciate it. If you have not left a review on Apple Podcast, go ahead and do that. And I might just read your review as a little shout out to the fan of the week on the next episode. Kelly Borowski is a certified results coach and meditation teacher. She left her corporate career to pursue her passion to teach and to help self-aware 9-to-5 professionals uncover their unique gifts and purpose using human design so that they can too find meaningful work that feeds their soul, and so that they can stop wasting their best years stuck in a job that no longer inspires them. Kelly, I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so thrilled that you are going to share with us your superpower, because truly we are all about learning and getting the inspiration. Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Christiane. I'm so excited to be here.
Wonderful. Well, what is your superpower? I'm sure the audience is super curious now.
Well, my superpower, it's funny, it's a soft power. It's positivity. I see beauty in the world and I see strength in people, whoever I interact with. I really see through the person. Like, I just have this gift of being able to see their potential, even if they don't see it in themselves. And what's funny is in human design, it's all on there too for us to realize, acknowledge, because with the gene keys, you have the gifts in there in the cities. Well, I'll jump into that later, but it's truly a remarkable tool for us to really tap into our strengths.
Awesome. So you mentioned already a little bit positivity, and now we are thinking, well, hold on. So Kelly mentioned, though, that she was in a corporate career. Tell us a little bit about challenges that you experienced in your life. So do you want to share with us why you left your corporate?
Yes, that's a wonderful question. And it's really organically how I left. But before I decided to leave, I was there for 15 years. And it wasn't until the 10th year, actually, when I started to wonder, reflect on my life. And that 10th year was really when my dad was diagnosed with dementia. And I started, it's like a wake-up call for me, to be honest. I woke up to the fact that I wasn't awakened, or I was sleeping. I was on autopilot for 10 years. And I looked back and reflected, and I couldn't really remember what I had done those past 10 years. I looked back and I thought, well, I was surely enjoying life for sure. And time was flying by. And not that there was anything wrong with that, but just looking back, I always felt like, oh, there's something more I need to do. There's something more I'm meant to do here. And it wasn't until he was diagnosed with dementia, I started taking care of him, that I realized, oh, okay, it's time to wake up. Wow. There's mortality to look at here, and taking care of him. I was really stressed out at the time, and tying it back to work, I was blowing up at work because I was just so overwhelmed. I became unhinged. I actually blew up in one of the conference calls, one of the meetings, and I could feel these 12 pairs of eyes on me when I blew up in that instant. And that's when I came out of there. I said, I need to do something about this anger management problems. And so I went to a 10-day silent meditation retreat, and that really opened my eyes. I mean, our eyes are closed in meditation, but it opened my eyes to what was going on in here. all the dialogue. And that was honestly the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life, was that 10-day silent meditation retreat. Just not talking to anyone, just knowing what the thoughts were flowing through there. No feedback. Mm-hmm.
Was the hardest thing, and it had a positive outcome.
Absolutely.
Sometimes the challenges that we, especially the one that you put on ourselves, because you obviously signed up for this ourselves, you look back and you're embracing the challenge because it led to a different path and outcome. And I love the word that you always use. You use the word rewiring. So the 10-day silent retreat rewired you and set you on a completely new path. And let's maybe use the word path of positivity. Because now you are can we say this? A completely different person, maybe? Your outlook on life has really changed, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Thank you for that. Yeah, there's certainly a huge transformation to the positive side of things, because when you're angry, you are certainly not positive. Well, and in fact, I was just wrapped up in my head there with about me. Actually, it was very self-absorbed. And when we're not self-absorbed, we can be more positive. We can look out, and we can actually first look inward again, like being grateful for what we do have, right, all around us. And that really helps us center into the positivity. And really, it's about being present, right? That's the grounding kind of state before we can be positive. It's like, okay, what's in the here and now? There's no unhappiness here, right? There's no negativity in the here and now. We're here. I'm alive and breathing. That's really the basic fundamental mentality. Like, okay, wake up here. I'm here. I'm breathing. How could I not be positive?
Good. It sounds something to where it was truly life-changing. And I really adore that you brought up this moment that triggered all of this, where it sounded like in a big meeting, 12 other people that looked at you and you blew up, and all of a sudden you realize, my gosh, I have to do something about this. Because really, when you think about wellness, sometimes we have, outside factors that tell us, oh, we need to eat healthier, we need to work out more. But until you realize that you need to do this and you get your fanny in motion, nothing will ever change. So it comes really from the own motivation that you need to kickstart your wellness. And in this particular case, you chose to go on this retreat, and then you will see the results. So it's great that you shared that with us, because it's a trigger moment.
Absolutely. I was really unhappy where I was at, because I was up for a promotion, and I was thinking about myself in that meeting. So just to give some context and color to it, I was thinking about, okay, how do I look? How's the deadline being missed? How does that look on my reputation about me? And fast forward a year later, after the meditation retreat and all the synchronicities happening after that, I was placed in the same position where I was working with consultants again. And it was like same environment, but different Kelly. And the end of that year, I got promoted, because I just was looking more outward and more for the benefit of the project and the team and what they needed, instead of what I needed and what I wanted. It was a huge transformation in how I looked at life and my projects, everything.
Good. And we're always growing. It's a journey. Truly. Yeah. So now, kind of like, if you think, what was an influence, or who have been influences in your life that led to this wake-up call during this particular meeting?
Oh, well, it was definitely that challenge of the anger, because I had been dealing with anger issues for all my life, watching my dad. I was blaming that, but it was just really me, like how I was reacting to things and the habit of being in my head. And I would say that kind of kicked off, right, the meditation. And then after that, I really say the biggest transformation came from when I picked up the book, The Artist's Way, which was recommended after improv class. I'm telling you, the synchronicities started kicking off after the meditation retreat, and one thing led to another. I went to conferences. It was like full immersion in personal development, programs and conferences. So like Tony Robbins Unleash the Power, I did that, and Mind Valley programs, all in the space of, I'm going to tell you, all in the space of, so it was 2017, November, when I I escaped to the meditation retreat because I needed to escape. So November 2017 to 2019, that summer. So in the space of less than 2 years, all this transformation happened. It just really kickstarted everything. And the Artist Way, I tell everybody about the Artist Way because that book is like the magic to self-discovery. And then though, human design, it all ties in together. It's like a shortcut. This is a cheat sheet. Human design, your human design profile and chart is the cheat sheet to self-discovery. But they go together. They definitely complement each other, I would say. And the Artist Way, really, the two key steps in there are journaling, like writing free flow, emptying and dumping whatever's in our minds to paper. That's so powerful in releasing whatever we've been struggling with, whatever thoughts, feelings, behaviors, like just write that all out. And it's just really transformative. And the second part is just really going for walks or artist dates and walks. The walk sometimes for me is my artist date. And the artist date is about just taking time for ourselves, giving ourselves that time to restore, rest and restore, and really connect back with our creative side.
I love that you read the book, and I'm always curious because to me, how you find a book is always a very interesting pathway. How did you even hear about this book?
It was through the improv class, which was another, if anybody is on the fence about taking an improv class, just do it, because that particular class, though, I took, he did have an emphasis on personal development. I think that's what attracted me and drew me to it. And in the class, he just mentioned really quick, like how the Artist Way helps us open back up to our playful side, our inner child, which is always wanting to play. And we can just let that child out again by not being in our head. And how do we not be in our head? It's to dump all those thoughts out on paper. And that's just the beauty of the practice, just to do that. And we don't have to do that all the time. It's just having that initial, like that 7 days of just doing it, or 3, if start with 1 day even, right? Just dumping that all. And it brings so much clarity and a freedom really to our mind and body when we do that.
Love it, because it's truly not carrying things around with you, which then eventually might be, like you mentioned, that anger management is kind of like a volcano, so it keeps bubbling and then whoops, and eventually all comes out. But rather releasing pressure, whether that's through journaling, whether that's through the walking, and taking that time and releasing pressure one by one, step by step, so that you're not feeling you're carrying all this stress along with you.
Yes, absolutely.
So how can our listeners get in touch with you? Because I'm sure that they would love to find out more about your journey, what you do, and all the wonderful gifts that you share with the world.
Yes, well, they can tune into my podcast as well. It's a Wake Up with Yogi Shorts podcast. I do have a website, kellyborowski.com, and I do have a wait list for a 3-day challenge if folks are interested in joining to find their purpose and the strengths that they're naturally born with, to fulfill that purpose.
Love it. Thank you so much. And I hope this has been helpful in giving you quick and easy tools whenever you need them to center and refocus. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Happy Healthy Hustle podcast, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you so much for having me, Christiane. Take care.